party people. Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week on the show, I am joined by good friend Nathan Paoletta for a game of One More Thing. One More Thing is a game of TV whodunit, or more accurately, how catch 'em mysteries, in the vein of obviously Columbo, also Monk, Royal Pains, pretty much anything on the USA Network characters welcome. The idea is there has been a murder, there is an unlikely oddball detective, there is a scheming, culprit who we start the show off knowing that they're guilty, and the story is not who is the guilty party. The story is how is our oddball detective going to catch the crook, and how is the audience at home going to react to this celebrity guest star crook. Obviously, given everything that I love in the world, this game is so far up my alley. I loved it the first time we played it on the show a few years ago, which I will link in the show notes. I love it, love it, love it now. The game is currently on Kickstarter. You've got to go back it. It is amazing. I want this game in the world so badly. I want to be able to play it. Please go check the show notes for a link to the One More Thing Kickstarter. Back it. Make it happen. It's very, very cool. Speaking of TV shows, Nathan, in addition to being an incredible game designer, Worldwide Wrestling, Imp of the Perverse, Nathan is also a podcast host on his own right. He hosts a podcast with Epediah Ravishol, designer of Dread, called 200 a Day, in which they watch the Rockford Files episode by episode and talk about it for slightly longer than the episode itself. It is a great podcast about a show that I have fallen head over heels in love with. You should go check that out. You can find that at 200aday.fireside.fm or in the show notes below. And lastly, before we dive in, thank you to Nathan, as well as to friend of the show, Stentor Danielson, our newest backers on Patreon. Thank you for helping make the show happen, games happen, cool community things happen. All of that I deeply, deeply appreciate, and I love getting to play games with you. Let's all play some games again together sometime. You can find more information about Patreon at patreon.com/JeffStormer. It is the end of the year, which means we're coming up on two things. One is sort of my annual Patreon refresh, where I look at the tiers that we've got on the Patreon and sort of figure out how best to tweak them and fiddle with them to sort of give people the best experience for their money. And it's the end of the year, so look for some extra special holiday content, some more information about which will be dropping in the next couple days. All that and more at patreon.com/JeffStormer. And with all that said, let's throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it, past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I am joined once again by Nathan Paoletta. Nathan, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Well, thank you so much for yet again welcoming me on.
I'm every time you're on, it's a delight, so there is no shortage of opportunity here. That said, before we dive in, why don't you take a moment and let the lovely listeners at home know about not just what we're playing this week, but as well as all the other things you've got going on that you want them to know about.
Well, this week we will be revisiting my TV detective-inspired game, One More Thing, which you were kindly... I think the first time I was on was...
I believe it was, yeah.
Taking this out for a spin many moons ago. It's come a long way. It is currently on Kickstarter, so we'll be talking about that again at the end, because I don't want to take up too much time. But yeah, it's great, and I'm excited to feature it again. Past that, my most recent game, Imp of the Perverse, which I also was able to join you for, is out in the wild. It is available to pick up through my website, or find retailers that use Indie Press Revolution, and it came out great in the end, so I think that's worth checking out.
Absolutely, I love that game.
So you can find Imp of the Perverse as well as all of my other games, of course, at my website, where there are also links to my Patreon, which supports my ongoing game design efforts, including the long gestation period of this game. But other than the Kickstarter, that's pretty much my last big thing for 2019. So
it's a good note to end the year on. I gotta say, it's nothing like closing it out with a big exciting thing like this. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. We have played the game before, so the general premise: TV detectives in the vein of a Columbo or a Monk or a all of the shows on the USA Network characters welcome, which are all very close to my heart, no matter how much I make fun of them.
Right. the overall narrative frame is very much the Columbo frame, where we will see the murder, and then we will play until the murderer is brought to face all the evidence of their crime, and they either realize that they cannot escape their the punishment or justice, if you will, or they confess in the face of the detective's accumulated case against them. Everything in the middle, of course, is the fun of the play. So wherever we go with it, we'll go with. So the game has 2 play modes. So it's a 2-player game, obviously. And the 2 modes are Writer's Room mode, which is kind of the full role-playing experience where we would come up with the detective and the murderer and the case and all the clues and everything ourselves, and then have kind of the big sandbox to play in. What we're going to do here is on assignment mode, which is where we have a pre-written case. So we are going to be picking up our little case files for the 2 characters, the detective and the murderer, which will describe the situation, give us our initial scenes, and also give us our set of clues that have already been put together to support this this story.
Right.
So this is a little more structured and more kind of board gamey in approach, where it's a little more step by step. But since we've played before, if we end up, I imagine that we will be using our role playing muscles as we play.
Yeah.
Just because that's how we are.
And I think giving that additional structure will give us, like, I anticipate the 2 of us will probably bounce off of the structure, like being, it'll give us it's jazz, it gives us the formula with which to deviate from when we feel comfortable with it.
Right. And also, in addition to just anything like this is going to be different every time because of the people playing, also the nature in which the clues are discovered really drive the story differently depending on which ones surface early in the game. So, I've played this a couple of times now through playtesting and also just playing with people, and it's great because it never goes the same way.
Right, absolutely. So, let's go ahead and dive in. Nathan, do you want to commit a murder or catch a murderer today?
I was going to leave that choice to you, just because I've been on both sides already, so I can kind of do either.
You know what? Last time we played, I was the murderer, so I think let's switch it up and I'll play the detective this time.
All right, so this case is Eagle's Last Ride. It is included with the preview PDF download of the game, which is just the entire game in digital form. The game does have... so the Kickstarter is to achieve a physical box set of the game. So there are physical components, but we're going to be using a little digital play space that I set up that uses the board and we'll keep track of our clues and stuff. Just wanted to make that connection for anyone who may have already checked out the download.
Excellent.
But yeah, so imagine, if you will, we're opening our box and we're putting our audience perception board in the middle between the 2 of us. This is a little game board that is going to track the audience perception of the murderer. Because that's kind of where the spine of the drama comes from a little bit. The audience perception is driven by the sympathy that the audience might feel for our murderer, because they're a murderer and they're going to go down for it.
Yeah.
But within that, there's a wide scope of individual characterization, right?
Yeah.
And then the evidence that the detective is going to put together against them. So we'll call out whenever that changes as a result of our scenes.
And then we'll also call out whether that changes the characterization of or not the characterization so much as how the audience is going to read this character at the end of our story.
Right. The game uses the concept of our imaginary TV viewing audience, which is descended from my wrestling game.
It's very good. It's very good.
So those of you listening, you are part of our imaginary audience. Not so imaginary now, but as we play.
Imagine that you're listening to us play out a murder mystery. Is what I want. Is really what I want to capture. I want to capture that feel of listening to us create this story.
Right.
All right. Shall I introduce my detective, or shall we begin with the murder?
I'll go ahead. Or how about I'll go ahead and introduce the murderer, and then we'll go back and forth from there. Essentially,
that sounds great.
So Eagle's Last Ride. This is a 1986 Malibu. A film star is found dead after a big party at a Malibu beach house. Initially ruled an overdose, her private insurance firm decides to look into the circumstances of the death, as well as her relationship with her former co-star, David Carter. I am David Carter, action movie star and murderer. The deal is, I've just wrapped up the big summer blockbuster that's kind of, one of the big entree into my headline career as this, action movie guy. Eagle's Last Ride is that movie. During shooting, I had a torrid affair with my co-star, Angeline Del Rio. Once the movie wrapped, however, Angeline wants to break off the affair. She's tired of sneaking around her husband's back, the powerful entertainment lawyer, Anthony Del Rio. I have hated Anthony. He passed on representing me back at the beginning of my career, and I know that hurt me. I could have been here faster if not for him.
Sure.
And Angeline has told me that she will spill the whole affair to him if I keep after her, right?
Yep.
It was fun while it lasted. Now we're done. Leave me alone. But not only am I wounded by her casual dismissal of what we had together, I know that she has this hold over me, and if he ever finds out, he'll be able to tank my career, and he'll have the reason to do, right? That'll be the motive, all he needs, all the motivation. So, consumed by jealousy and wounded by her casual dismissal, I decide to make sure she won't be able to talk to anybody about anything ever again.
That's a good TV murder is what that is.
And so there's characters have kind of little elements to them. We don't need to track every little thing, but they are listed in our case file. So I'm a mainstream celebrity. I've killed my lover, born out of jealousy because she's choosing this husband over me, and then that's complicated by all of our personal history. This is premeditated, as you'll hear during the murder. And to cover it up, I'm implicating myself for a less serious crime, as there'll be some illegal drugs involved. And I'm also going to be altering some recording technology. And all of this puts me at Sympathy 3, Evidence 1, which means that at the beginning of our show, the audience is going to see David as smart and detached.
I love it. So I love it a lot.
This little token on our board. Boop. And so that is the murderer.
All right. Should I introduce the detective that will be catching this murderer today?
Please do.
All right. I am Barbara Fontaine, Ace Investigator. I'm an insurance investigator working for Ace Associates, one of the largest private insurance firms that specializes within the entertainment industry. My background is I have a degree in criminal psychology from UC Santa Barbara, and I find psychoanalysis to be very, very helpful in guiding investigations. This is not my first rodeo. I'm an experienced investigator with Ace and who have dealt with plenty of stuck-up celebrities and delusional directors. I tend to kill them with kindness, keeping them off balance until I have hard evidence to turn over to the firm. I've even turned my serious soda habit to my advantage. My ever-present styrofoam cup often annoys the subjects of my investigation or makes them underestimate you. Just as a personal detail, I think I'm going to change that to glass. If we're in Malibu, I think I'm going to change that to like a glass bottle, Because I think I'm obsessed with getting like the Mexican Coke with the real sugar. Especially after New Coke launched, I'm just not. It's not the same. It's never quite be the same. And they haven't changed the recipe. They didn't change the recipe in Mexico. It's just a better soda.
Exactly. Yeah.
As soon as I saw soda obsession in this character, I felt immediately called out. I don't know if you can tell that. I've seen every kind of scam under the sun. If there's one thing I know, it's that when people are famous, they always think they can get away with murder. I said with soda at first. That's not right. They always think they can get away with murder. My affectation is that I am always drinking soda, specifically bottles of Mexican Coke. I'm a corporate investigator for Ace Associates Insurance Agency, and I have a psychoanalytical approach.
Awesome. So now that we have introduced our characters, we will start the game with the first two scenes, which are the murder and then the initial investigation. So again, these are scenes that are written up in the case file, and we will be reading or paraphrasing, plus adding in whatever other little details we want as we go through them. But the game always starts with the first scene being the murder. So we have our establishing shot of David Carter's Malibu beach house, early afternoon. It's a little remote. There's no immediate neighbors, kind of up on a rise, so that there's a big set of plate windows out to the ocean. Obviously ostentatiously expensive. Caterers and decorators are rushing around, and I'm on the phone with Angeline. So we hear my side of the conversation, or I guess we cut back and forth. So I say, please just come a little early. I promise I won't try anything. I just want to talk before everyone gets here. And I just want to make sure we're on the same page about all of this. Angeline sighs. She says she'll be there at 7. All right, come in the back if you're coming then. The staff has all their trucks in the front driveway. The caterers will still be here, so just come in the back. So we cut from there to a wide shot of Angeline and her sweet little red sports car, top down, big scarf flying out behind her. As she pulls off the highway and into the gravel rear driveway to the house. Inside, David, I look out of my upper story window, see her in the car she parks, and the camera sees me tip a couple of pills into my hand out of a little bottle. Then with a big smile, I bound downstairs to let her in the back door. I peek around a corner to make sure no one else is going to see. I kind of wait, let one of the caterers wheel a cart around, make sure the coast is clear, and then let her in. And we immediately go back upstairs to my lavishly, tastelessly decorated bedroom. I think David has a round bed. Just to, make that point perfectly clear.
For sure.
No mirror, but round bed. So we make some awkward small talk, and then I casually ask, so is Anthony coming to the party? Angeline laughs. Of course not. He doesn't even know I'm here now. But since I am, what do you want to say to me? This is your last chance. If you keep on bothering me, I swear, I'll tell him everything. And then where will you be? I pour 2 glasses of champagne from the fancy bar against the wall in my bedroom. My back to her. All right, babe. You've made this all perfectly clear. I just want to have a goodbye drink. We had some good times, and let's just celebrate that and say goodbye. And I casually palm the pills you saw earlier and tip them into her glass, and then turn around and hand it to her. She takes her flute of champagne, tosses it back, and then I just watch over my glass as she dramatically puts a hand to her forehead, and then her eyes roll up, and she swoons. I catch her before she can make a thump on the floor. Then I drag her, unconscious, into my marbled and gilded bathroom. After locking the outer door, I pull a length of rubber tubing out of my pocket as I return to her unconscious body. I imagine the music has swelled with a little dramatic underscore as this happens. We cut to later that night. The beach house is full of exuberant actors, technicians, and hangers-on at my swank rap party for Eagle's last ride. And I'm holding court, drink in hand, in front of these big glass windows looking over the ocean. The camera focuses down on my digital watch as I glance at it. And we see that it reads 8:59. We then cut to a shot of a room with just banks of reel-to-reel tapes, and there's a timer plugged into one of them. It ticks over to 9 o'clock, and then the reels start turning. We cut back to the party as the phone behind me rings, barely masked by the crowd noise and laughter, because I'm finishing a funny story, of course.
Of course.
One of the guests pokes at me. Hey, is that your phone ringing? And I reply, oh, don't worry. The machine will get it. There's a brief pause as the machine picks up. And so we all hear Angeline's voice. Hey, doll, I'm on my way. I got hung up with car trouble, but it should be there in about half an hour. Don't wait on me. I laugh and say, I didn't even know she was coming. That's great. And then the crowd noise of the party resumes as we cut to an overhead shot of Angeline in my bathroom upstairs, eyes closed, tube tied around her arm, syringe in her hand, and face blue in death.
So from there, we cut to a small private office at Ace Associates. There are several empty glass Coke bottles around. And the desk is covered with a set of photos, a headshot of Angeline. I think the camera probably fades from that shot into like a very nice, like that kind of classic overly staged headshot. Mm-hmm. There's a photo in the bathroom. There's paperwork, like it's all over the place. And the phone rings. It's my boss. I have to kind of like scramble to get it and like almost fall out of my chair because obviously I was, kicking back with my feet on my desk. The phone rings. I almost fall backwards. I grab the phone. I pick it up and, hey, Gary, what? Oh, yeah, no, I'm just looking at it now. Yeah. Gary, I know. $5 million policy. We always look at those. What? Really? All right, give me the number. I'll call him. Yes, Gary. Gary? I know, Gary. I don't keep everything routine until we know something. This is what I do. Am I not good at my job, Gary? Thank you, Gary. Thank you for believing in me. And I take a sip of soda. I write down a phone number. I hang up the phone. And then we cut to from me writing down the phone or the number to knocking on a door that says Del Rio on it in big gold letters. And I'm called to shake hands with a small, angular, very well-dressed man. This is Anthony Del Rio. He says, listen, I'll get right to the point. My wife would never go back to heroin. She got addicted once, and I insisted she go to rehab. And let me tell you, she did not have a good experience kicking the habit. Not at all. She has not touched anything, and I refuse to believe she would randomly shoot up in that actor's bathroom of all places. Big air quotes on the word actor. The police aren't willing to touch it because he works for a big studio now, but I know you people need to investigate odd insurance claims, right? Well, do it. Investigate. I don't care about getting the money. I want to know what happened to Angeline. I nod. I make some notes in a notebook. I take a swig of soda. He paces back and forth. He's like, of course, Mr. Del Rio, if we find any evidence of illegal behavior, we will take it to the authorities as a matter of policy. Now, what actor was it you mentioned?
Dun dun dun.
And that's our investigation. Then we cut to the theme song
of Barbara Fontaine, Ace Investigator.
Yeah, I think it's just called Ace Investigations, right?
Yeah.
I'm picturing a very Rockford Files-esque like photo montage, complete with the shot complete with the shot of her buying like a case of Coke of like bottles of Coke, a la the greatest shot in the Rockford Files opening, where he's shopping for meats.
Yeah, we're just looking in the meat case. I'm envisioning you open the trunk of your oversized 80s car, and there's just like a wooden crate full of Mexican Coke.
Yep.
Yep. So that your first scene was highlighting the initial clue, which is that. So we have a little stack of 10 clue cards, and we've turned over one that's noted as the initial clue. And it's the one that says that Angeline Del Rio has been to rehab for heroin addiction. Her husband says she would never go back after going through withdrawal.
Perfect.
That is what was highlighted in your initial investigation scene. Now you pick another one of your scenes.
All right.
And we'll go from there. So you have a menu of scenes in your case file, which are...
We have interrogation. I have legwork. I have a flash of insight, an interview, and a finale. I can only use the finale when there are 2 more clues in evidence.
Right. So right now you have 1 clue. Some of the scenes will allow you to enter a clue into evidence. So you would slide that over and kind of tuck it underneath the board. So once we have 2 of those, either of us can go for the finale. But you could have a bunch of clues discovered that are face up, and then, whichever ones are the ones that kind of piece it together for you are the ones you'd, put into evidence. Whatever you think is strongest, or whatever fits together the best, or whatever.
I feel like it's true to the genre that to do the first interrogation like right off the bat. Like that feels right. That feels like the right thing to do. So I think as soon as I hear, what was that actor's name again? I think we cut. Where do we find each other? Right? Like where do I find David?
So I mean, since you're calling for the scene, it is ultimately up to you. But I would say that. It's the day after a big party, so it's not like he's going anywhere. So just finding him at his home would be pretty straightforward. If you wanted to do it somewhere else, he could be on a set or something.
I think that's very good because I think that we get that very kind of classic The Graduate shot of you like floating in the pool. The shadow falls over you. And it's just like. You ignore it for a second, and then you finally have to look up and see me there. And I am... Barbara dresses, very nice, probably a little overly professional, right? Like, it is Malibu. It is always hot and muggy, but she is wearing that, the suit with a vest, short coat, business skirt, carrying a can of soda or the bottle of soda in one hand with a straw in it. Of course, nice. She drinks out of the straw, and like a notepad in the other. Or even better, I think she's got I think she uses the tape recorder.
Okay, yeah.
Shades of. Oh God, I forget Twin Peaks guy's name now.
Yeah, and so, as we. When I'm discovered and I'm on the floater, the floating chair in the pool. Yeah. And so this is the house where it has the big plate windows. Outside of those is a deck, like a nice patio. In the patio is a pool. And then there's nothing between the pool and just going out. You could just walk over the edge and go down this little sand dune and be on the beach, right? It's right there. Yeah, so I'm lying there, sunglasses, obviously, but I don't immediately react to your presence, so.
And I just stand there, smiling and virtually unmoving, except, I do the thing where you don't, look at the straw and you just kind of crunch it with the side of your mouth, and then...
So, yeah, on the sucking sound, I kind of wave. I'm like, look, I told you that everyone can have the rest of the day off, all right? Just go home.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No, I'm not help. Though I'm sure your help is very nice and friendly, and that's very nice of you to offer that. But unfortunately, my boss has not given me the afternoon off, so here I am.
And I take off my sunglasses and look up and kind of squint because you're standing in front of the sun, right? So I have to like look into the sun, and I'm like, like, fine. What? Your boss? Who are you?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have. Barbara Fontaine, Ace Associates. It's a insurance firm. Surely you've heard of us. We work with with a lot of
So just real quick, before we get super deep into it, in the interrogation, you're either discovering a new clue or you're introducing the clue you already have into evidence. Were you looking to discover a new clue?
Yes. I definitely want to flip a new clue before I start committing things to evidence.
All right, so you should do that kind of near the beginning of the scene so that we can kind of
gotcha
into
right.
What you want to do.
All right. Well, now that we've introduced ourselves, I will introduce a new clue.
All right. So how this works is you would draw 3 and pick 1. So in our little interface, I'd say you could just pick 3 of those at random to unclick the hidden check mark.
So I'm going to click 6, 4. I'm going to click 2, 4, and 6.
All right. And then whichever one of those you want to be the clue, go ahead and hide the other 2 again.
That's the one that I want.
Cool. Great.
So, obviously, you could probably. It's never easy to start these off. Surely you know that. I mean, you're an actor. How do you start a scene? But it's never easy to start this conversation. It's always a little morbid. If only I had a writer, right? Listen, I need to ask you some questions about
Oh, geez. Look, the cops were already here. I already answered all these questions. What?
I know. We I understand that. This is just, this is just, par for the course. We just have to make sure that we have things on record on our files, because sometimes the police can be a little bit squirrely in sharing their reports with outside investigators. You understand, right?
Sure, I guess. Look, here, just give me 1 second, okay? And I kind of roll off of the floating chair and swim. Well, the pool's not deep enough to like swim, right? It's like a wading pool, so I just like roll off of it and then stand up and walk over to the little stairs and grab a big fluffy towel. It's monogrammed, right, with the DC on it. I'm toweling myself off. Like, here, look, come in. I need to come in. I need to eat something. I guess you can ask me those questions while I see if there's anything left in the house.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. That's perfect. Thank you. Obviously, I don't want to, hold up a meal, but sometimes people are friendlier over lunch or snacks.
Yeah, well, sure. Come in. And I put my sunglasses back on as we go in. I'm clearly just hungover as
right.
Everything. Yeah, so we go in. There's like a little kind of kitchenette thing, and I'm opening drawers and stuff, and I obviously don't actually cook for myself, so I'm just kind of randomly opening things just to be moving around while you ask me your questions.
So, I guess the point of order that we're looking into today, and I take a drink of soda, is it was a little odd that Angeline came to your party. It seemed like she was a bit in the middle of. I know that you were co-workers, but given her relationship with Anthony Del Rio, who, let's not mince words, you weren't exactly keen on each other. it seems a little odd that she would be making house calls to hang out with you, so to speak. If that if that sounds
Miss Fontaine?
Fontaine, Barbara Fontaine.
Barbara, look, whatever your investigational abilities, qualifications, you've clearly never been an actor. The rap party's like, everyone comes to the rap party. It's marking that we all did it. We got through it. We made a great thing. Just because Angeline and her husband, she's always welcome, and she, decided to come. What was I going to do? Tell her not to come? Anthony doesn't control her.
That's all. That all checks out. That's fair. Obviously,
Didn't control her, I guess I should say. And I, get a look of kind of, not sadness, but kind of like serious, like, oh, yeah. Realizing what happened, letting the weight of it wash over me.
And I guilelessly wash over all of it. I'm like, that's fair. I was in a production of Hello Dolly in high school, and let me tell you, we all didn't like Roy, but Roy came to that rap party and we had a great time. So I guess I understand that. I do get that. I do. It feels like, you and Anthony, it feels like at a certain point, even professional courtesy only goes so far. I mean, I know that, it's not exactly an industry secret that Anthony has pressured people to not cast you, I mean, that had to hurt your career, which had to lead to certainly that's kind of hostility that puts people in the middle of things.
Right. And I give you this look when you say, it's no secret, hurt your career. And I'm pouring myself a glass of orange juice, which I finally found. And I put it down. I put the bottle down too hard, and some of the juice slops out. I'm like, look, oh, jeez. And everyone's gone. Look, yeah, me and Anthony, we never got along. I don't know, he just didn't like the look of me or something. Whatever. I got over it. Angeline has her own career. Just because they were married, what, you think he would, you think he would, let her be in a movie with me, but then not let her come to a party?
Well, I mean, that's a very good point. And I just, he had heart, his version of story. We have his version of story, the story on record. We wanted to make sure we got yours because obviously there are multiple sides to every story.
Look,
though
okay.
I guess
you can. I already gave everything to the cops, but I'll run it down for you in case you don't want to talk to them or they're being weird or whatever. Look, I had a big party. There were a lot of people here. She came around, she came after 9 because she called to say she was coming, which was nice because, you're saying, I didn't even know she was going to be here. It was her choice, right? That's what I'm saying. She decided to come. Great. She has other friends. It doesn't have to just be about me. I appreciate that she wanted to see me, but, she came. I guess she decided to have a little party on her own. I don't lock my doors. Everyone here was a friend, and she did what she did. And she called, and then no one saw her. I didn't see her. She must have just decided to start off strong and went a little too strong. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. Unfortunately, we see it a lot. It just, with her having been in rehab, for her to fall back like that feels so tragic, I guess, is how I would describe it.
And Dave is like, oh, like clearly he looks up when you say rehab, and then he's like, oh yeah, it's tragic. It really is. Look, I have a major headache, and like I said, the cops have all of this stuff. Is there anything else?
And her smile widens just a little bit, and she kind of like leans forward and is like, of course not. Please, I understand you've had a long night. Just enjoy your orange juice. Surely you'll make the rest of your breakfast after that. And I will see you. Do you have somewhere where I can recycle this bottle? I should probably recycle it. And she sucks up the rest of the straw and is like, I just need to recycle. Do you have somewhere where I can toss this?
Just leave it in the sink.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh my good, wonderful day. Gosh, you know what? I've been doing this job for a long time, and I never get tired of meeting celebrities. It's just it's like you see them on the silver screen, and then you see them in you're just as nice as I figured you would be. Have a great day.
And I think maybe we cut there.
Mm-hmm.
Great, man. This particular iteration of David is a real jerk.
I really like this iteration of Barbara. Hold on, I gotta be honest.
Great. All right, so now it is my turn to pick a scene. My options are conversation with the detective, so kind of my version of that interrogation.
Mm-hmm.
Rationalization, cover up, go deeper, or the finale. I am going to cover up.
Okay.
So I'm going to take action to erase my tracks, plant false evidence, or otherwise distance myself from this crime, since apparently you know something I don't. So same thing, I'm going to randomly do 3 clues and pick one. So how this works is I am drawing one at random, and then my action to cover up what I did is always going to surface something for the detective.
Sure.
Right? It's not always it's not just the crime, it's also the cover up. So I'm going to pick a clue and then frame the scene based on what I'm going to unintentionally bring to your attention.
Got it.
I'll do that one.
That's a good one.
All right, so I think the scene is that we actually have a little montage where David is he's driving his car, which is, its own fancy kind of, it's more of a muscle car, fancy car. Canonically, I'm not a car guy, so I don't know what off the top of my head, but
Sure.
something fancy. I'm so I go to a pharmacy. I go into I pull into a fancy building, and it's like a medical center. And
Right.
I go in, and it's all high end. All the materials are really nice and everything. And there's a receptionist there, and she just waves me in, and I go into the office of a doctor, Dr. Stoneman. I go and we shake hands, and this is the shot is through the his glass door, so we don't hear the dialogue, but we shake hands, and he is clearly offering condolences, and then as we're talking, he pulls a pad out of his coat pocket, out of his white coat, and writes something, and tears it off and folds it and hands it to me. And so I tuck it into my the breast pocket of my sport coat as I clap him on the shoulder and leave. And then we cut to me. I'm back at my beach house, and there's one of my people, because I have like house servants help, right? And so there's a young man. He's kind of my gopher. His name's Rodney. So he's, semi-professionally, like he goes on set with me and stuff to like run errands and whatnot. And then when I'm not working, he just is around the house and does the same thing. So I'm like, hey, Rodney, I need you to go down to the pharmacy. I'm changing, Dr. Stoneman decided to change my prescription. So I need you to go ahead and take this down, fill this out, and when you get back, go ahead and all the pills that are in the bathrooms and everything, you can go ahead and just throw those out because he said not to mix stuff. Yeah, this is. And Rodney's like, okay, sure. And maybe Rodney asks like, what's the are you okay? Like, is anything wrong? I say like, I've been feeling a lot better, and so the doctor said I can cut back on the heavier stuff and just go with some of this, little more over the counter versions just to help sleep and stuff like that. So I want to make sure I don't have any of the real knockout pills still sitting around the house. And so he goes off to run that errand, and while he's gone, I go around and open a couple drawers and kind of like, not secret, but kind of like they're finished to like blend into the wall and stuff. And like I open one and there's like a bottle of champagne in a little like cooler thing, and then there's just a big clear glass bottle of the same pills that I'd had. And I take that and I throw it in the garbage. And so I'm surfacing this clue that I had stashes of prescription sleeping pills in multiple places throughout my beach house.
It's very good. So I think I am going to have, is that the end of the scene?
And that's the end of the scene.
I think I know exactly what I want my next scene to be. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like sideways. I think it's parallel to that. It's parallel to that where, it's parallel to that where we cut to Barbara's boat, and she's floating on the water. And
houseboat.
It's Malibu. It's a way to live.
No, that's awesome.
She's floating on the water, and we see her like in bed, like clutching her stomach. Mm-hmm. Oh, she gets seasickness. It's a complication of living on. It comes with the territory when you live on a houseboat.
Oh, just real quick before you go on. So my cover-up scene, I also adjust my sympathy up or down based on the content of the scene, and I'm currently at 3. I think I'm going to adjust my sympathy down.
Okay.
Because this guy's not sympathetic right now.
No, I'm not identifying with this villain.
And that was clearly, I'm trying to get rid of that evidence, right?
Yeah.
So that takes me from being smart and detached to smart and callous.
I love it. That feels very right. To this character. And I think I've got my C. So in my flash of insight, I'm going to turn up a face-up clue into evidence. Mm-hmm. And I think it is exactly the one that you just flipped over, because I think what happens is a flash of insight is you have a fortunate revelation while doing something unrelated. I think what I'm doing that is unrelated here is being seasick in my houseboat. And I like reach for my Dramamine pills, right? Like my doctor's prescribed Dramamine pills, I reach into my pocket and I pull out like the bottle cap that I always just like keep in there, and like with it I accidentally pull out a bottle of pills.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at it and I'm like, wait, this isn't my This isn't my Dramamine. And I look at it and it is, and we flash back to where like I had put it in. We flash back briefly to me putting my Coke bottle in the sink.
Oh.
And like I knocked over some things, so I kind of grabbed it and I just kind of like picked it up and I grabbed and I just kind of like without realizing it, we see that I kind of, as I'm adjusting things, I like kind of swoop it into my poofy like suit, or the sleeve of my shirt or my suit coat, and I kind of ended up tucking it in my inside pocket.
Nice.
In my clumsiness, I grabbed a bottle of pills from inside the sink. And I'm like, why? Prescription sleeping pills? David Martin? Well, that's not right.
Nice.
I still need that Dramamine, though. This will have to wait.
Awesome. Is that the scene? Cool. So
that's the scene. We get a long lingering shot on that bottle of sleeping pills.
All right, so that moves me up by one evidence, as you have put a clue into evidence, which keeps me in the smart and callous area. Let's have a conversation. So,
all right.
Same deal where I will draw 3 and pick 1. All right. Great. So similar again. So now I have a clue that I'm going to surface for the detective, but in this conversation, it's because I'm going to be bringing it to your attention in order to explain something and make it,
got it.
Or to try and cast, try and allay your suspicions through some element of truth. So, I think that, would you come back to see me?
Yes, I think I am coming to bring, like, I come back, I pull up, I stumble out of the car.
Can it be I'm doing it's not like a shoot, but I'm doing an interview.
Oh, that's very good, because, yeah, I think you're mid-interview and, like, there are 2 assistants that are like, we're sorry. We tried to tell her to wait, and I'm like
trying to keep you at bay, but he can't handle your intrusiveness.
And I am like a smiling, friendly, vaguely Midwestern bat out of hell coming towards you.
So we're out on the deck again, but there's like there's a camera. It's a single camera thing, but there's all the light like reflectors and everything, and I'm in like a chair and have a popped collar. There's a little like there's some little pieces of kind of scenery behind me, like some, I don't know, plants or something to make it look a little, try and obscure the really ostentatious collection of materials that the house is actually made of. And you bowl right into there, and it's right as I'm saying, like, I'm talking to the like, I'm kind of up out of my chair, and I'm like shaking my hand at the director. I'm like, look, come on, you can't ask me questions about Angeline right now, okay? It's too soon. It's just too soon. That was only a couple days ago, and we're all still getting over it, and I'm just like haranguing him. Yeah.
And this is when Rodney comes in and is like, I'm sorry, we tried to stop her. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, Mr. Martin. Are you okay? You haven't been hallucinating yet, have you? I know that happens after a few days, a few hours, so I wanted to make sure you're okay. You haven't been driving, right? You shouldn't operate a vehicle right now.
Excuse me for a second. How about you figure out something with these plants? They look terrible. Come on. And I take you by the shoulder and kind of guide you away from the other people. I'm like, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Barb. Been having a little trouble sleeping just because everything's been so crazy, but
That's what I wanted to. You see, I'm sorry. I must have gotten sort of jumbled up. It's Barbara, by the way, but I must have gotten jumbled up trying to throw away the Coke can in the sink, and I found this bottle of your sleeping pills, prescription strength. So I must not. I didn't want your insomnia to impact your ability to do your job or operate machinery. So I wanted to bring it back as soon as possible.
And I look at it in your hand, and I reach out to take it. I'm like, well, that's very kind of you. I didn't even. I've been off this stuff for a while. This must be an old bottle.
Oh, that's weird. It said it was issued like 3 days ago.
I mean, I have people pick my.
Is there like a regularly
I have
scheduled
people do
refill?
that for me. I don't know. Look, I'm actually kind of glad that you're here, and I'm just like trying to push that away. I'm actually kind of glad that you're here because I've been thinking about what you said the other day. About like Anthony and our history and everything. And this whole thing with Angeline, it's really shaking everyone up. And so I was talking to Jim. Jim's the director, and named some, famous movie name. He was our director for Eagle's Last Ride. We got some drinks and we're kind of sharing stories and everything. And remember how you said how it seemed weird to you that the Del Rios would be interacting with me at all, right? Angeline or Anthony. You said that. And here's the thing. After our first this is something that Jim told me, and I didn't know this. You can ask him yourself. But after our test screening, when Angeline did her test reading against me, and that's, we don't have any control over that. That's up to the casting director, Jim said that the chemistry that we had during that test reading was so good that he insisted that Angeline be in this movie. And this is a little embarrassing, I gotta say, but... And you're a professional, right?
Please. I don't know what I could possibly do to give you any idea of the opposite.
I'm just saying, this is all...
It's the real sugar's just really, it makes such a difference.
Everything, this is just going into your insurance report, right? Like, you know how the gossip papers are around here, the tabloids, this kind of thing. It could... I wouldn't want anyone speaking ill of the dead, you know what I'm saying?
I really only read Archie comics, honestly.
Great, I'm sure those are very amusing. Here's the thing. Angeline and I, we got along well. Turns out really well. And, we kind of got together, right? It happens. It's Hollywood. And,
sure.
After the first time, I was perfectly ready to just let it drop and move on and let her deal with Anthony. Because, like, I guess, honestly, when you get right down to it, like, I don't care about how he feels, But Jim, the director, we were doing so well, and our chemistry in the movie was just clicking. And he kind of encouraged us to spend more time together. He realized what was going on. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And so we had a bit of a fling. It was over at the end of the movie.
Wow.
But there you go. You were wondering why she would come to the party? Maybe she just wanted to see me that one last time,
And I like shake my head a little bit, and then I light up like a Christmas tree. I'm like, genuine Hollywood gossip. Wow, you think you get used to it in this job, but really, like every time, it just you get kind of excited.
Promise me that's staying in your official report.
Oh, please, please, please! It's gonna stay. It'll stay between me and my journal tonight.
I just want to make sure you understand, and then that even,
Oh, please.
I knew her well, but not, her outside of the set, you know? Maybe trying to get up the courage to or get into the right mindset to have one more little thing with me last couple nights ago. Maybe that's why she decided to do what she did, and she just made a mistake. I didn't know she was. I didn't know she'd gone to rehab.
Understandable.
Maybe she just didn't know what she could take anymore. It's a shame. I guess in a way I blame myself. If I wasn't so desirable, maybe that never would have happened.
That makes a lot of sense. I get it. I couldn't know what it's like to be a big Hollywood celebrity, so I guess I gotta take your word for it.
I'm like, oh, okay, they're calling me. Oh, good, and they moved those plants. Oh, God. Okay, I gotta do this interview. Look, I guess...
I understand.
Let me know if there's anything else you need for your report. Okay, I'm sorry I was in a mood the other day.
I understand completely. Go have a great interview. Sleep well tonight. Sleep tight. It'll all be all right. Everything will be behind us soon.
Okay. So real quick. So I again adjust my sympathy based on that scene. I was kind of trying to go a little bit for increasing it. Okay.
I'd say you got there.
I feel like that last crack about being so desirable might have been a little much, but
I think here's why it works.
Yeah.
This is me gaming a little bit, and it makes you feel detached.
That's kind of what I was thinking. This was a very analytical, like, oh, let me put this together, and that will solve this problem for me.
Yeah, I'd buy that for sure.
So I'm going to go ahead and increase back to 3, which puts me back in smart and detached.
Got it.
Your scene.
All right, so I am definitely doing an interview with the director.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm flipping 3, but I know the exact
one that
I got the one that I wanted.
Yeah.
I was gaming it a little bit and hoping that I was going to get it.
No, I see what you're doing there.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I got exactly what I wanted. I really wanted to flip that card, and I'm glad I did. So yeah, we have an interview now where I get handed off on the director, who is talking and talking, and I go wide-eyed, and I'm like, a real Hollywood director?
Is this?
I mean, gosh.
Where is this?
This is. So I've been handed off. I think I catch the director in a shoot, in a film shoot. It's like, it's actually in. It's got to be in the studio, right, or in the editing studio, or in something where he's
like with the editor looking at like rushes or something, like looking at.
Yeah. I don't know why my brain immediately went to beloved character actor Dom DeLuise for this, but that's where we're at.
Jim is played by beloved character actor Dom DeLuise.
Jim, I come in and Jim is watching, probably got his hat in his hand, right, and has crossed his arms. And I come in and I'm like, oh, wow, a real Hollywood studio. You think you get used to that with this much time on the job, but every single time I get a little excited. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I be quiet right now, or are we watching?
Do you want me to play him?
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah, not that I'm going to do a Dom DeLuise, but
sure. But we get the visual.
You're already in here. It's fine. We're not. We're looking at tape. It's fine. Who are you? What do you want?
Oh, I'm sorry. Barbara Fontaine, Ace Investigations. I'm an insurance adjuster, investigator.
No. Someone. I got a call that you were going to be coming by.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. So, honestly, this will all be pretty quick. And I think as I'm saying this to you, the tape is running in the background, and it's just like, it's B-roll. So it's kind of just like a static camera filming things as people just say things. And like, as I'm talking to you, I'm just getting the standard questions, asking about the affair, kind of pressing you a little bit. And we hear like mumbles of it. And then we hear over the radio, or over the B-roll. Hold on, let me find the exact. We hear over the B-roll, "Hey doll, I'm on my way. I got hung up with car trouble. Should be there in half an hour. Don't wait on me." And I stop. And I stop and I'm like, could you play that again?
Sorry, what, play, yeah, roll, sure, if you want, roll that back. I mean, guess this must seem a little ghoulish to you, huh? Looking at a
it's
dead woman.
Hollywood. It's far from the roughest case I've been on.
Barbara has seen some stuff.
And she copes really great, honestly. Yeah, she smiled, and like we play it like 2 more times. We hear, hey doll, I'm on my way. I got hung up with car trouble. Should be there in half an hour. Don't wait on me. Hey doll, I'm on my way. And then like we play that like 2 or 3 more times as the scene like slowly wraps up, and we just like hear that on loop. We like hear that on loop.
And so Jim, he's kind of like looking at you, because it's a little weird that you're like playing this one piece back over and over, or like having the editor do it, right? I imagine.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, this is just some B-roll, but from the last couple of days of shooting. It's kind of weird that you're interested in this. We thought we were all wrapped on this, but David had some bug up his ass about how he delivered some stuff, or I don't remember. He wanted to do it again, and these contracts, they let him have some reshoots for certain things. So it's something about how he looked or how he sound. I don't really remember. That's why we have all this B-roll.
Sure, I understand. It's it's you gotta be prepared for every possibility, right? That's how this works. That's how the industry works. And I think that's the end of the scene. I think we just keep watching this camera. We keep watching this clip looping. We zoom in on that, and then we cut to our next scene.
Nice.
Oh, except I believe that as an interview, I believe you get to adjust your sympathy based on this.
I do. It's not heavily in either direction. It's a little... So I'd either stay in smart and detached or go back to callous. I think callous, because the implication here, right, is that this is part of... Implication / as our audience knows, this is the premeditated part. Like, he needed this audio from this reshoot or whatever.
And also doing it in a way that people are going to find it.
Right, and just being like, oh, this will be fine.
Yeah, and and trusted that no one would put those pieces together. Yeah. There's a callousness there that, frankly, I kind of like as a character, but I'm not the audience. So
no, I think it's right. I'm going to move it back down, so I'm back in smart and callous.
All right, what's our next scene?
So I could do another cover up. I don't really want to go deeper. I don't feel like I have the need to kill someone else at this point.
I think I agree with that.
Or I could do rationalization. I'm going to go ahead and have a rationalization scene, which is where I reveal an understandable human motivation to the audience. I'm on the phone, and I'm talking to my business manager. I'm like walking around. I'm walking around in my bedroom. Like, so I have like I'm holding the phone with like the long cord that's like really long, so you can take it wherever. Oh no, it's the 80s. I have the giant cordless handset with the big antenna. So I'm walking around with my cordless handset phone. I've called my business manager, and I'm saying, look, here's the thing. I know. Look, I'm going to get plenty of residuals on this thing. Yeah, no, I'm going to get I'm getting part of the net. And, oh yeah, I'm even getting part of the gross. Oh yeah, so this will be no problem. Look, take some of that money, I don't know, whatever's going to add up to like 30, 40,000. I don't know. What does it take to send a kid to college? Whatever that is. Figure that out. And I want to set up a special scholarship for aspiring actresses. We'll call it the Del Rio Scholarship. Yeah. I mean, look, it'll be good. It'll be good PR, but like, we can let that leak, not make that a part of it. Yeah, I just want, if something's going to come out of all of this, I think at the very least, there should be some way for more women like her to get into Hollywood. Yeah, you'll draw it up? Okay, yeah, I'll come back on Monday and we'll look at all the other stuff. All right, thanks. And I hang up. And my other hand comes up into the frame and I'm holding that, like one of those same like overstaged publicity stills of Angeline. And I'm looking at that, I'm just like, at least as I get bigger, thou get bigger too. And that's my rationalization. Sure, I did a bad thing, but I can put something in her memory that's positive. And
I like that.
That's my moral offset.
Yeah. So that's gonna up your your sympathy by one,
so,
putting you back in smart and detached.
Because again, it's like this will make things better.
Yeah. And I think for my scene, I'm immediately going back to the flash of insight because I gotta turn this answering machine message into evidence, and I know exactly how I want to do it because it has to be unrelated. Yeah. I am at a burger joint, one of like the outside like roller rink derby joints, like a kind of a drive-in. I'm sitting at a table and I have like a big clunky folder, and I'm like laying out receipts and stuff. And I'm reciting to myself, or actually, I think I'm in the houseboat. Like I'm back in the houseboat, except I'm on the dock of it where there's like a picnic table, and I'm laying out receipts and I'm laying out invoices.
Are they all weighed down with glass bottles?
Yes. I'm like weighing them down with glass bottles, and I'm rehearsing to myself. I'm like, Gary, listen. I understand that Ace Investigations has a lot of plates spinning at any given time, but, it is only fair that I receive priority on the last several invoices. I let you slide, Gary, no. No, Gary, I let you slide last time. And I'm like, very obviously rehearsing, trying to be the bad cop. Mm-hmm. In a very Rockford-esque spin, Gary continually ducks paying me.
Right.
And I'm rehearsing all of this, and the phone rings, and it's Gary, and I hear it on my answering machine, and it's, "Hey, it's Gary. I'm in traffic. Yeah, that's it. Traffic. Sure, traffic. And I'm not gonna." I'll be gonna be a little late for this meeting, but don't wait up for me. Start your meeting whenever. And she's initially like, "Well, how am I gonna start the meet?" Don't wait for. And she stares at that message. She's like, "Don't wait for me. Don't wait for me." And she's gonna grab her coat and run out the door.
Nice. Awesome. So that's putting the last minute reshoot clue into evidence.
That is correct.
And that moves me on up to 3 evidence, which puts me in the scared and detached.
Excellent.
Square. So now that we have 2 in evidence, either of us can call for the finale. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like we're quite there yet, so I think I will go for another cover-up scene.
Okay.
One of these things about the car. I think this plays in. Oh, whoops. I think that one plays into where you're headed. All right. I'm getting scared. Oh, okay. So I think the scene starts with I'm on the phone with Jim, and kind of I'm saying something like, I'd really like to see the final cut before it goes in for everything. I mean, it does say in my contract that I can see that, and Jim's like, it's going to, we have to put that together for you. It's going to take another, week and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, well, I just really like to see it, And then Jim says like, okay, sure, fine. You're just as, it's like, you're being just as weird about this as that insurance lady. I'm like, insurance lady? It's like, yeah, that Fontaine lady. She came by and wanted to see some of your reshoot footage. And I'm like, oh, that's really, that's weird. Well, there's no, they just have to do, I don't know what they have to do for their job, but I'm sure it's all routine. And I'm like, clearly, and I'm starting to like pace and walk faster. And I hang up and I think I go over to the window where when we first saw me, I was looking down at where her car had pulled up. And we have a little flashback shot of that happening. And I shake my head. And then we cut to me in a cab. And I'm getting out of the cab in like a different, like some other kind of suburban but very fancy kind of like Beverly Hills looking area. And there's a big gate that says Del Rio in the ironwork over it. And I kind of look around and see that, make sure that no one's looking, like no one can see me. And I just go in. It's not like locked or anything. I just kind of like slide my way in, close it. I go over to there's like a 4-car garage over on the other side. And I actually have a key that I pull out. I have a bunch of keys on a key ring, and I'm like sliding them around, and then I find one and I try it. I'm like, oh, yes. Well, glad I still have this. And I go in the little access door to the 4-car garage, and one of the cars in there is Angeline's car. I raise the hood and I reach in and I like fiddle with something, and then I close it. And as I walk away, the camera sees little like drips of some fluid coming out from underneath the car, and so I have gone to I'm kind of like, oh, I know what Barbara was doing, so I've manufactured a problem with the car to explain that message. But if you checked with I feel like there's some way in which you could have checked with someone who has done something to the car before today, and that would that would be proof that it was fine until after her death. So I've surfaced the clue for you, and then if you want to follow up on it, however your scene works to make that evidence, you can follow up on.
I think I am gonna follow up on that clue and hit it and give me that one last flash event. I'm trying to decide if I want to call for the finale or if I want to go for that last flash event site.
Yeah, because you can do evidence in the finale if you wanted to. And so I'm going to move my sympathy up, actually.
Okay.
Not because I think that was a particularly sympathetic thing, but I think I'm moving towards desperate.
Sure.
So I'm still scared and detached, but now I'm closer to desperate than callous.
So I think I'm gonna call for the finale. So you said the car is at Del Rio's place or at your place?
At Del Rio's place.
Okay.
Because they like brought it back, like it was at my place when they found it and found her, but then it's been, however long it's been, a couple days, and so, they brought it back to where it actually belongs.
So yeah, I think in that case I'm gonna call for the finale, and it's gonna be a 2-part thing, right? I think it's gonna be a scene leading into the confrontation, if that's all right.
Right, and so the finale you can do. So as the detective, you can.
Oh, you know what? I can include a flashback in my confrontation with you.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you can do. I think that should say and. I might have a typo on what I'm looking at. Yes, do whatever you want. It'll work. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll work. Because I think what happens is, like, you get back to your house, or, like, it's, like, a couple days later, and you're, like, on set, you're on set for, like, whatever your next project is.
Mm-hmm.
And I come in, like, dusting myself off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Rodney's like, you know the deal. You know the deal. She tried to get in. I'm dusting myself off. I am like, I have grease on my suit. I have grease on my face. And I'm just like, I was coming in a hurry, and sure enough, the car broke down. What a day, right?
Yeah, and so it's like a break, like we're on a break from shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just kind of like, I turn and I see you, like, Rodney, get me some coffee.
Oh, if you're getting coffee, could you get me a Coke? Mexican Coke if they have it. I mean, I'll take a regular, but I'd really prefer not. If you've got it, I'd love it. I'd love the glass bottle. Do they have the glass?
Like,
do they have the glass bottles? I mean, I don't want to put Rodney in a weird spot if that's not something that you have here.
Like whatever they have, I'm sure will be fine.
That's fine. Yeah, whatever you have will be fine, Rodney.
Look, Barb, I'm trying to stay in it for this next scene. I'm sure you have some dumb question. What do you want?
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I was gonna ask you some questions, but gosh, as you can tell, I'm a little messy because the car broke down. I had to get it towed. To a garage, and it's the strangest thing. I pull out my tape recorder, and I'm like, the strangest thing. I was just, I was sitting and I was listening, and I play it, and they're like, Del Rio wants the car back. He says it's leaking, but I mean, I checked it. It was just an unscrewed like brake line. It's nothing. Just screw the brake line in, put the fluid back in, and charge him $400. That's it. $400 for screwing in a brake line. Can you believe that?
I'm like, I thought you said that your car broke down.
It did, and it just happened to be the best garage to go to. Was I happened to be the same guy.
What? Look, are you trying to? I don't know what you're babbling about. Do you have something to ask me or not? Because if you don't, I'm getting tired of this harassment, and if I need to, I will get my lawyer involved.
Oh, I understand completely. I'm so sorry. Yes, I do. I do have a few. I just have one more thing. I was talking to, so what it is I was at your place the other day. I noticed that like you had a lot of great equipment there, and I really noticed that, like, you had a one-person production place there, didn't you?
I'm like, wait, did you go through my place?
No.
Before you talked to me?
No. I just, I've been around a lot. I know an editing bay when I see one. So I just, I caught a glimpse of it down the stairs. I promise I was only doing the normal requisite amount of snooping.
Look, just because I take an interest in the technical side of my profession, I don't see what that has to do with anything.
Oh, no, I understand completely. It strikes me how weird. I saw Eagle's Last Ride, by the way. I thought I caught the premiere. It was fantastic.
Well, thank you.
I noticed that this reshoot, which you asked for, didn't make it in.
I mean, that's that happens with lots of things.
And then I click play on my tape recorder as you start to say that. I click play just as you start saying, "Hey, doll, I'm on my way. I got hung up with car trouble. Should be there in half an hour. Don't wait on me." Just very weird that I don't know. You know, I didn't really notice a place in the movie for that kind of long answering machine shot.
Oh, awesome. All right. So you have entered another clue of the editing bay and entered the Angeline's car into evidence, which moves me up to 4. Cool. So I get to do my finale things as well.
Yep.
And just because I can't not. So yeah, you play that, and I hear it, and as you say the last thing that you're saying, I kind of sink down into the chair that's behind me because I'm at like a little makeup counter or something, and I'm just like, you had to go digging about the reshoots, didn't you? I think you're a lot smarter than you look, Barbara Fontaine.
You know, I get that all the time.
She would have ruined me, you know, if her husband had found out. My whole career could have been right down the toilet.
Yeah.
Me. My career. You saw the movie. And I think that's where it cuts.
Yeah, I think. Yep, I think that's. I think that we cut back. I think we just cut to her like smiling, and she shrugs, and then that kind of shrug is the freeze frame. The theme song plays, and that's.
And maybe there's like, is there like a just for maximum drama? Is there like one uniformed cop behind you or something?
Yeah. I think. Yes, I think one uniform cop steps behind me, and I just kind of shrug, and we get the freeze frame, the credits roll, and that's one more thing.
Right. So my last thing there was confessing, providing a little piece of the puzzle for you, and I decided to lower my sympathy with that choice because it was all about me. Mm-hmm. So I end up in
squarely and scared and detached.
I'm scared. The audience sees David as scared and detached.
I love it. Nathan, I love this game. I gotta be honest. I love this game.
Well, that was super good. Thank you for your amazing Barbara Fontaine.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I don't know if I forget if I talked to you about this after the last time we played, of just like how much I live for this specific genre of television.
It's so good.
It's very, very good. My wife and I want to say we finished the series before they took Monk off of Netflix all of like 8 years ago. We watched every single episode, and it was like an ideal cooking timer TV series because it was. Oh, is Monk in an uncomfortable social situation? All right, that means it's about 15 minutes in. So
right.
in about 20 minutes, he's gonna say, "I know who did it," and then we'll be able to flip off the oven for dinner.
Yeah, it's there's something about the formula that's so like. I think you mentioned jazz earlier, right? Like the formula gives you so much to play with.
Agreed. It's
like it doesn't make it. It makes it more interesting, not less, when you like break the formula and stuff like that.
I agree. I love it so much. Well, thank you so much for playing with me. This was so much fun.
No, thank you. And so there were other things in there, like in the finale. Instead of confessing, I could do like flat denials and cast doubt on something and move myself in the other direction if I wanted to. So I have more of a stoic, like going, facing the music without admitting it kind of end, but I'm a softie. I almost always confess when I'm the murderer.
It feels right. It just kind of feels right to confess sometimes, so I completely get it.
Yeah, and then like if there are options to take clues out of evidence if we were planning to play for longer, or if the story kind of felt like it was going to be more confrontational or something like that. And I think, as I mentioned, we did not see a go deeper scene because I didn't feel like murdering anyone else.
That's fair.
But I think we hit all of the detective scenes.
I think we did.
Yeah, so that is how One More Thing works in the on assignment mode.
It's real good. Well, thank you so much for playing with me. Real quick, before we wrap up, where can people find you, your work, and One More Thing online?
So One More Thing, as mentioned, is on Kickstarter through December 9th. And it's not just me, it's also my friend Stephen Winchell, who's doing the art and is also a detective story obsessive, and has helped develop this case and a lot of the other kind of just development of the game since we started working together on it. So it is a joint effort, so I want to make sure that he's acknowledged. He has an occasional murder mystery audio drama podcast that is following the adventures of Martin Crane before Frasier and Niles were born in the Frasierverse. So it's Detective Martin Crane and his wife Hester murder mysteries.
I was hoping if you didn't mention those, I was going to, because they are some of my favorite things. The listeners know how much I deeply love Frasier, and the Marty and Hester mysteries are so much fun. They're real good. I listened to both of them back to back in a single day and was just like head and hands like, this is everything that I love. They're perfect. They're very, very good. I'll link those in the show notes.
Yeah, I forget exactly what the web address is, but link that in the show notes. And so a little behind the scenes there. The second one, the more recent one, we started working together because he brought me in to help figure out like the mystery, because that's more of a Columbo-y one with like evidence and stuff. And then we're currently working on the third one, which is going to be a more Rockford Files inspired con game story.
Good. I'm excited.
Keep an eye out for that. But yeah, so One More Thing on Kickstarter. All of my work is at ndpdesign.com. My Rockford Files podcast that I do with Epidiah Ravishal, the designer of Dread and Swords Without Master, is over at 200aday.fireside.fm. We talk about each episode of the Rockford Files for slightly longer than the episode itself runs, so if you are deeply obsessive about media like that, give it a listen. I think it's good. I am on Twitter at ndpaoletta, Instagram as well, and my Patreon for supporting my ongoing design work is at patreon.com/ndpaoletta. I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing the show. This was a blast, and now I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Nathan for coming onto the show. That game was... goddamn, I loved it. Be sure to check the show notes for more information about One More Thing, currently on Kickstarter. Go back and make it happen. 200 a Day, go listen to it. Lovely podcast. Show, one of my favorite shows on TV. Nathan's other game work, including Worldwide Wrestling, Imp of the Perverse, and more. The Marty and Hester Mysteries, which obviously, I mean, come on. It is a Frasier prequel mystery podcast. What's not to love? Fantastic. Find more information in the show notes. And be sure to follow Nathan on Twitter at ndpaoletta. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/partyofonepodcast. If you enjoyed the show, consider leaving us a nice review on iTunes, Podchaser, Podbean, wherever you listen to podcasts. It probably has a review function, and we'd really appreciate the review. You can also give us some love on social media, share your favorite episode with a friend. Any of those things help new listeners find the show, which helps us do bigger, better, and cooler things. You can also back the show financially at patreon.com/JeffStormer, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, at coffee.com/JeffStormer if you'd like to buy me a craft soda, or at paypal.me/JeffJStormer because Jeff Stormer was tagged. Speaking of ways that you can support the stuff that I make, let me tell you about the other podcast that I produce that you could also be listening to. All My Fantasy Children is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast powered by you. Every week, my best friend Eric Tanosayas and I take a listener-submitted prompt, we spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday at allmyfantasychildren.com. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran, featuring the D&D Sluggers. If you would like to inquire about press coverage, advertising rates, or about a guest appearance on the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And that's it for me. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.